Admiral Zumwalt was a high up officer in the U.S. Navy, and he was in charge of all naval forces in Vietnam. Now his son was over there, and his son and I worked together oftentimes on the rivers, and became quite close. I was in Saigon one time when he was in Saigon, and we had gone out for dinner and then enjoyed the music and what all, and in the course of it we missed the fact that we were breaking curfew, that we didn't get back in a timely manner to our hotel or to the barracks that we were staying in. And what they would do is they'd report this back to your command. Now it's no big deal for me. No one was going to make any stink with me, but for Elmo it was going to be difficult because his father would get the report, other people would see it, and as he said to me, he says, "Damn," he says, "this is going to be really embarrass my dad." So these two burly guys were at the entrance to get into the hotel. And what we had to do was get by them somehow, and so I, a small junior officer, could harass these two guys enough such that my friend Elmo could slip by the guards, get in undetected, and therefore not have this incident reported to higher Navy authorities. And that was quite fun. The good experiences were somewhat limited. I mean, we either worked at night, or maybe we worked during the day, and we patrolled. And if we did come in and had some time off, it was a case of maybe writing a few letters, because you knew that if you didn't write any letters, you'd never get any letters, and you were tired, and so basically all you did was rest, because that was real important to be relatively well rested. One of the things that we did was go up in ambush positions along the Cambodian-Vietnam border, where we tried to stop the enemy from moving into Vietnam, and at nights and the daytime, the boats would oftentimes get hit, and you needed to be ready for such an instant happening. I was over in Vietnam for 1 year, and this was pretty much standard over there, was that we had 1 year tours of duty, and when your 1 year tour was up, when it was up, you went home, no matter how short on people, how tough things were, that type of thing. And that was something that was different from the Iraqi war and Afghanistan war, where first times these guys would go over there and they'd have multiple tours. They'd never know when their tour was up, but we knew when our tour was up. Everybody would have a calendar where they'd count the days that they had left, and that was a real positive thing when you started to get down to just a few days left. But then when you start getting down toward a few days left, then you became a little scared that seemingly something undesirable would happen, and so if you could get back by those last few days, that was a real blessing. It was really difficult for families, and I know that my mother, I remember hearing her talking to a friend, and she said that was the worst moment in her entire life, when she heard from me that I was going to be going to Vietnam. So that was the worst that she ever had. I remember one sort of a sentimental type of thing of where the newspaper, the mail would be delivered once a day in the morning, and even though it came in twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. But the postmaster knew how much my mother was anxious to see my letters. So this postman then would call up. They'd call my mother and say, "You got a letter from your son, and you might want to come in and pick it up." But that's who it was tough on. Was tough on parents, tough on family members, that type of thing. We, and this might say, was relatively not so difficult in the sense that we were going over there to join up with other guys, and us, and together we would work on a common objective. Primarily, the common objective was to, to make it out alive, and all. But like I say, it was, we would be, the adjustment was not so difficult as the adjustment going home, because we were joining up with people that were doing a similar kind of mission, similar kind of job as what we were doing. Going home now was a little bit different, in the sense that there wasn't, and it's not like we needed a great welcome, but it wasn't like there was a great welcome for when we came home. I recall once when I came home, was walking down the street of this small town that I'm from, and from the other direction was coming the mayor of the city. And the mayor, when he gets up to me, he says, "Hi, Lute," he says, and then he goes on to say, "Where have you been? I haven't seen you for a long time." I remember sometimes we felt not so good about the fact that the former vets, the World War II, the Korean vets, didn't seem to be particularly responsive to us or particularly welcoming to us. And I do recall one time where I asked, this was some years later, I asked the commander of the American Legion there in the town that I'm from, I asked him, I said, why didn't you ever ask me? I've never been asked for 40 years or whatever to join up. But I asked him, how come you never, welcomed me home or, asked me to join or anything like that? And his response was that, well, we had plenty of people. We had plenty of people.